Let's go! Happy holidays, everybody. So this is the first time I've ever done a video like this, so if it's a little unorganized, I know it's late. I really wanted to get this video out sooner, but I just didn't have time. Next year, I'll definitely be better about it though. I apologize if any of you were waiting for anything from me. That's my bad. So something I want to point out, not all of these devices came out this year. A lot of them did, but there are going to be some that didn't that I'm going to mention here because I want to point them out and I still think they're a great value at their price tag. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be mentioning some that I think you should avoid, so stick around for that. Another thing, links to videos about these. If I have a video on it, I'm putting my video there, but if it's a device I haven't covered, it's someone else's video. And links to the purchase page is going to be in the description for all of these devices. Do you guys like my Kirby thing? Look at this little Kirby guy. Look at him. I can't get him in the shot without putting him in front of my microphone. Look at him. All right. Let's get into the first one. So the cheapest of the bunch that I would recommend is the Miyoo Mini. There have been a bunch of videos on this device. There's been a bunch of commotion around this device, and for good reason. Now, there are devices cheaper than this that you could probably buy, but I wouldn't recommend them because a lot of them are probably trash and just aren't worth the price tag. So the Miyoo Mini retails for $65, and I don't own one. I debated even putting it in the video because of that fact, but it's a holiday gift buying guide. If it's good and everybody says it's good, then it's good. It's okay for me to recommend it. And while yes, it usually retails for $65, you're probably gonna have to pay scalped prices to get it anytime soon because their restocks are very infrequent and it's just hard to like get one from the actual retailer. So the ones that are sold on eBay are like priced. They're like double the price. I would recommend following Retro Game Corps on Twitter. He usually tweets whenever those come back into stock. But as I said, I don't actually own one of these devices, so I can't give any personal takes on it. But every video I've seen about it, people seem to really like it. It's not the most powerful thing in the world, and that's apparent if you've seen any gameplay video about it, any video about it. But with a form factor like this one has, I'm not sure you'd really want it to be. I'm positive the only consoles you'd want to play on this are anything 2D. Like, why would you want to play a 3D game on this? There is custom firmware for this. Again, I don't own one, so I can't give any personal takes. But everyone who owns one seems to really like it. So, I mean, I would recommend, only if you're in the target audience, though. And I want to make one thing clear. I posted on my community tab earlier today, when I'm filming this, about the Powkiddy RG351P, which looks like it's trying to be a competitor to the Miyoo Mini. They released it today. You can buy one today. It hasn't come out yet. Like, they haven't shipped any yet. I'm not sure how it's going to compare to the Miyoo Mini in terms of hardware and software, so I would hold off on getting it. I'm not really sure I would recommend it right now. It is like $15 cheaper, something like that at retail, and you can get it straight from Anbernic, so you don't have to worry about it selling out. So that might be a better thing to get, especially because shipping times are probably going to be similar between the Miyoo Mini and the Anbernic RG505X. I hate that name so much. Unless you buy it from eBay, like at a scalped price, you're probably going to get it shipped out sooner. That's just because it's a scalped price. I don't really know what to tell you. But yeah, Anbernic released a device that's a competitor to the Miyoo Mini. I would hold off on buying it though. I did buy one, so I'm gonna make a video on it. Just be patient and just hold off on getting this. Don't get this for your loved one. Or if you like Anbernic devices, you can get one, but unless you're like a diehard Anbernic fanboy or girl, I wouldn't recommend it. Moving up by just $17, we have the Powkiddy RGB20S. Why all these companies are so bad at naming their devices, we'll never know. This device is another one of the devices I do not own, do not plan on buying, but I put it on here because the reviews by people like Retro Game Corps and others are really positive. And at just $82, it doesn't really seem like you can go wrong here. Now the chip in this device is the same as the one in the RGB10 Max. I would grab mine, but all of the stuff on the shelf is gonna fall over. And I know that there's some frustrations with the D-pad being on the bottom, but in a Game Boy style layout, I think this chip works better. Because for something that can't emulate past PS1 and N64, which it can barely do, it's probably better to have it lined up like that so people who want to play 2D games can play them comfortably. I do just want to mention, I keep bringing up Anbernic, and I hate that I keep bringing up this one company, but they have a device, the RG353V-S. It has a similar bug grade design. The only thing is it's $100, so you have to weigh the options. I still think either of these would be great to get someone who more so focuses on retro gaming, like the SNES, NES, Game Boy, those types of systems. If someone likes playing that, then get them one of these two. Anbernic, I would say, is more reliable just because Powkiddy has had some major hardware duds over the past year, as we'll go over in my don't recommend section. Stay tuned for that. But either of these devices would be good. The RGB20S seems like a good device at its price. And it would be especially good for anyone who finds the small size of the Miyoo Mini annoying, because it is very tiny. Speaking of Anbernic, next up we have the RG351P, which retails for $89. The small rectangular form factor makes it great for on-the-go gaming and quick bite-sized gaming. It runs on Linux and only has 1 GB of RAM, so only expect to be playing N64 and PS1 games on here, if at that. The last two devices have had the same chip and can play the same games, but I think it all just comes down to preference and if you like the design more. And what this one has over that is the design. It's sleek, and like many have said in their reviews, it has a great D-pad. The 480p screen might seem bad to some people, but on such a small device, it's perfectly fine. Good, I say. Dare I say good. Apparently, it's really good for Game Boy Advance games. You could make the case for any of these last three devices. I think it just comes down to personal preference and what you're willing to spend. Is probably worth it if you want to spend more money, just because it'll get you that better design, the better D-pad, stuff like that. Be better, but that's at a higher price tag, so you have to weigh your options. Comes down to your preference and budget, just remember that. Jumping up a bit in price, we can talk about devices I actually own. The Retroid Pocket 3 and the 3 Plus, both retailing for $120 or $130 and $150 respectively. Though you can find the 3 for just $100 now that the 3 Plus is out, and this one gets to go on sale. I've made reviews on both of these devices, and I would definitely recommend both of these devices, but I would definitely recommend the 3 Plus more now that it's out, because it's more powerful and just a better device. The design of both of these devices feels incredible. The buttons, the D-pad, the joysticks, the triggers, it all feels really nice, and I really like how it feels. They're so tailored for 2D gaming, even as the D-pad is in the optimal spot for 2D gaming. Both of these are definitely more so tailored towards 2D gaming, but they are definitely capable of 3D gaming, whether it's through emulation, more so on the 3 Plus, and just Android gaming, which can go on both of these. I covered a lot of the drama surrounding these launches, especially the launch of the 3 Plus in my more recent videos, so if you want to learn more about that, you can go check out those videos, linked in the description and in a card on whatever side of the screen those are on. But they're not relevant to the devices themselves, so unless you're thinking about buying the 3, they don't matter. Emulation is great, especially on the 3 Plus. This thing is able to play like PSP at 3 times resolution, GameCube at 1 and less than 1. Mind-boggling stuff. And like Dreamcast, N64, all of that stuff is possible on these devices. This one is going to be able to play all of the games better because it's more powerful, but this one is still capable of a lot. If you want to learn more about the distinctions between the two, I would definitely watch the videos made by myself and other people who have gotten both of these devices. I would definitely recommend the 3 Plus over the 3 just because of the extra power that comes in this one, and I think it's worth it to spend the $20 to $30 to upgrade it. But once again, it all comes down to preference and your budget. So next up we have another Anbernic device, which as of writing the script for the video and as of recording this video has not arrived yet. I'll be uploading my unboxing video and my review for that device whenever it shows up. I mean, like, Retro Game Corps has had his for like 3 months or like a month, and other people have already gotten theirs, so mine's just taking forever to show up. It's called the Anbernic RG505. I don't even know what RG stands for. Retro Gaming? Is that what it stands for? Retro Gaming? I got some pretty smart people over at Anbernic. It retails for what I thought was $10 more than the 3 Plus, $160, but apparently it's now only $157, so it's only $7 more than the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus. Now, upon hearing that news, you might just be like, why wouldn't I just buy the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus and save $7? Let me lay out a few reasons why. The screen is 0.2 inches bigger, which is obviously a big deal for all of you and is the only difference, actually. I'm joking. Let's go over some actual differences. The device has a OLED screen, meaning it'll be better at displaying colors than the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus. It's said to have the same screen as the PlayStation Vita, so if you have a PlayStation Vita, you probably already know what the screen looks like. It has a more boxy design with its flatter sides, and it seems to be noticeably thicker than the 3 Plus. If it's not like that much thicker, it's just it just looks like that because of the flat sides. It runs on Android 12, unlike the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus, which runs on Android 11. I'm not sure how much of a difference that'll make. And it has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery compared to the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus, which has a 4,500 milliamp hour battery. Also, the shoulder buttons are not laid out, like they're not like they are in a normal controller or they are in the 3 Plus. They're side by side. I think those upgrades are worth the $7, but it all just comes down to preference at the end of the day. Either of these devices would be good at such a similar price. It's really just up to you to choose one of the two. All right, it's time to talk about devices I really enjoy. The AYN Odin! So there are 3 models of the AYN Odin: the Odin Lite, Base, and Pro. The Odin Lite retails for $230, the Base retails for $240, and the Pro retails for $287. So it's not too much of a price difference between the 3 models. Now, when you hear the words Lite and Pro, you probably expect a major power bump between the two. And I'm here to tell you, it's not entirely correct. The Lite actually has a better processor than the Base and Pro do. It runs Android 11 instead of Android 10 that the Base and Pro run. It even has better Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capabilities. And it has the same RAM as the base model, which is 4 gigabytes. So what's really light about it? Now, that's not to say there aren't downsides of the Lite. It is a great product, but compared to the Pro and Base, there are some downsides that I want to point out. It has a worse GPU, and it can't do a video out through the USB-C port on the bottom like the Base and Pro can. It has to be through the micro HDMI port on the top, which can be annoying for some. All of these models play Wii games and games equivalent in power really well. All 3 of the models do that. And the Pro model, which has 8 gigabytes of RAM, is probably going to work better for this, but it can run Nintendo Switch games through the Skyline emulator. Now, Skyline is not great for 3D games, it's only for 2D games, but still being able to play Switch games on a device like this, that's pretty crazy. Now, if you've been following my channel at all in the past year, you probably know that this was my most anticipated device for this year. It was the first Indiegogo project, my bad, that I ever backed. And I was really intrigued by this. I was like, this is gonna be so cool. It's gonna be like a Steam Deck. It's gonna be awesome. And it is. It's awesome. The hardware is great, the buttons feel nice, the triggers feel nice, aside from the times I've had to replace the LNR triggers and have them send me replacements. The joysticks feel nice, and these back paddles they have feel great. I lost the rubber tips to them, so now they feel kind of bad, but they felt great when I first got it. Now, they include 2 different launcher options, Base Android and the Odin launcher, which can't sort through your ROMs like the Retroid launcher can. But it can sort through your apps, and you can put apps into different sections like entertainment, gaming, and just apps. So that's cool, I guess. I would still like a launcher that can sort through my ROMs, but I mean, for a first time product from a new company, I guess that this is probably the best that they can do. All of these models are great. Obviously, if you want more power, go for the Pro or the Base model, but if you don't care about Android gaming, the Lite is great, and the Lite is great for newcomers to this scene. If you know someone who likes emulation, Android gaming, they're gonna love one of these devices. And the prices are great for the power you get. So buy it for people who like Android gaming and or retro emulation. All right, so these next few devices are PC type handhelds, like they can play PC games, and those tend to be very expensive. But the first one I want to talk about is the Steam Deck. This thing is humongous. I will never get over this. All right, the next device I want to talk about is the Steam Deck. You might be a little confused because this is a Valve handheld that is more so geared towards Steam gaming. But fear not, emulation is possible and encouraged by many on here. This thing is crazy powerful when it comes to emulation. EmuDeck, which is the Steam Deck emulation like manager thing, it can sort through all your ROMs and get them to work on Steam. It's just amazing. So EmuDeck is incredibly easy to set up for newcomers and veterans alike. I was pretty new to the emulation scene on PC just because I don't really like playing games on my PC. I have like Ryujinx and Switch stuff on there. I just never cared to tinker around with it. So if you're a newcomer like I was, this was so easy to set up. And especially with the 2.0 update, they streamlined so much of the setup, so you don't even have to worry about it. This thing is crazy powerful. Like I've said, it's able to play up to Switch games at a good frame rate, at a stable frame rate, able to play those at a good frame rate. The best part about Steam making a handheld like this is that they are a company with money to fall back on and take a loss on the device. So they were able to make a device which usually would be very expensive, because these PC-like handhelds are usually very expensive, but they were able to make it cheaper than like every other device on the market. And they got this one down to just $400 for the cheapest model, which I think is amazing. And I think you should too. They have two other models for 256 gigabytes of storage and 512 gigabytes of storage. I think that 64 gigabytes with a 512 SD card is the easiest to go with, especially if you don't want to spend all the money, but having a nice amount of internal storage so you don't get that annoying storage almost full notification every time you start up the device might be useful. Ba-da-boop. It makes a nice startup sound. I like that. The $400 price tag is only $113 more than the Odin Pro. So if you want a device that can play PC games and more emulation, it's probably worth the jump in price. I'm going to give a device I recommend the most at the end of the video, but let me just say this is probably the best PC type handheld device you can get right now, just because of its price and the amount of emulation you can do. It doesn't have the top of the line specs. It's not like so powerful, but for what you can do on here, it's incredible. And I don't want to gush on it too much because I did make 5 videos on the Steam Deck, 4 of them consecutively, but I just do want to say that I really like this thing. I've been playing it a lot since I got it. It's amazing for both PC gaming and retro emulation. Not even retro emulation, modern console emulation. Like the Switch is great on here. So if you know someone who likes emulation at all and likes PC gaming, this is probably a good device to get. And this is probably the only one that you could feasibly get within a good time frame, because all of the other companies are taking forever to ship. I hope you all realize that. All right, I'm gonna do what I honestly never thought I would do. Recommend a AYN device despite the price tag. Now, I don't want to say, like, I debated saying that because I don't want to make it sound like AYN devices aren't good, because they are. It's just they're expensive. And I don't want to recommend any of the older ones. But there is one that I'd be willing to recommend if you're willing to spend the money. The AYN Air, which came out earlier this year to pretty warm reception. It uses a powerful AMD CPU and is able to emulate all of the retro and modern day consoles and play modern day PC games. I'm pretty sure what it uses is more powerful than the Steam Deck, but the difference is the Steam Deck will have developers optimize their game for the Steam Deck. So, I mean, even though this is more powerful, games may run better on there because companies actually care about that device. The battery life has been a concern for many because it doesn't seem to be very long. It doesn't seem to last very long. But besides that, I think this device looks great. The grips on the sides, the way it looks, just everything about it, I like. I don't have one though, so I can't really judge it. I just like how it looks. The grips look nice, and so do the colors in the joysticks. If you can look past the battery life and the price tag, if you can swallow the $549 or $699 price tag, depending on which one you buy, I think it's worth it. You definitely have to carry around a battery pack or stay near a wall outlet, because through many tests by other people, it doesn't last very long. That's all I really have to say about this. Let's jump up a bit to the AOKZOE A1. So we've reached the last one I would recommend, and honestly, I put this one on the list just because I wanted to get one that was really expensive. It's not really that I recommend it, I just wanted to fill all the brackets. The AOKZOE A1 is a device I got a lot of flack for back when I made a video on it, because I said it looked weird, and I still stand by that. I never said it looked bad, I just said that it looked weird. I don't know. I don't own one though, so I can't really judge it. I just based it off of what I saw from other channels. Like the last two devices, it can emulate like basically every system that has an emulator for it, and it can play the most recent PC games like the AYN Air can. Battery life seems to be a lot better. I'm not sure if all of the upgrades on this device compared to the AYN Air are worth the $400 price increase from the AYN Air, but I mean, to each their own. It's really up to you. This is the one I have the least to say about because I don't own one, and I honestly, after I made my video on it, I didn't look much into it. Like, it's cool. I like that there are more companies coming into this space and more companies making devices, but they made one device and I don't even know how to buy it anymore. So, but if you're into it and you want to get one, you like the design, I'll leave the link in the description to wherever you can buy it. I'll try and figure that out. I don't know why you would though, because I don't even think you'd get it by Christmas time. or holiday time, whatever holiday you celebrate. And it's $1,000. It's expensive. It's a recommendation. Get it if you have the money. But like if you are looking for a better device or like a Windows handheld, there are always other options. Like the AYN Loki. It's not out yet. It's not coming out till next year, apparently. The AYN Loki was delayed till next year. I have no clue what that device looks like. They literally just put a render of the AYN Odin up on their page and said like, oh, AYN Loki reservation, and then didn't update it. And they said in like recent Q&As they've done on their Discord that they're adding like more buttons to the back and the front. So I honestly don't have any idea what this device looks like. Now, before we wrap this up, let's just talk about a few devices I don't recommend. So stay away from these devices as well as you can. First one I want to talk about is the updated version of the Powkiddy RG351S. So I didn't buy the updated version of the Powkiddy RG351S because I didn't really like the first version, and the updated model didn't seem to fix any of my complaints. And looking at some reviews, it seemed I was correct to not buy it. I was smart to not buy it. Retro Game Corp just said to not buy it, stay away from it. And I usually listen to him because he's right. I hate to bring him up so much, but like, he's correct. It has the same chip as the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus and the Anbernic RG505, which both have better hardware and software right out of the box. And both the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus and the RG505 retail at cheaper prices, at least until the sale ends. Right now it says it's retailing at $140 on sale when it's usually like $170, but I'm not sure if that sale will ever end. And if it doesn't, I wouldn't even recommend it at $140. I wouldn't even recommend it at $140 just because of how bad the hardware, software, and just everything about it is. I would either recommend going up for the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus, the Anbernic RG505, or going down for the Retroid Pocket 3, or any of the other devices I recommend. Literally get anything else, except for the next two I'm about to mention. Next up, we have the Anbernic Win 600. That is their Windows handheld, and I think you should stay away from it. I wouldn't say it's a horrible device at $300, but from what I've seen from everybody else's reviews, it isn't worth it at that price. It isn't powerful enough for more modern systems like Wii U and Nintendo Switch, at least at full speed. Like, I understand that they want to stay cheap, but like, you go big or go home. And Anbernic obviously just went home. Either get the AYN Odin if you want something cheaper, or get the Steam Deck if you want something more powerful. The Win 600 doesn't really seem to have a place in the market because it's not as powerful as a Steam Deck, and it's not as good as an AYN Odin. So it's kind of in this weird middle ground, and it's priced at somewhere where it doesn't fit. The last one I wrote down to just like bring up something more expensive is any of the older AYN, like more expensive AYN devices. Like devices like the AYN Next or the AYN Next Advanced, just because they're old, number one. Number two, they're too expensive, way too expensive. Three, not powerful enough for that price. I don't think that's much of a debate, especially since the AYN 2 is apparently out now. Just get that instead if you actually want a device like that. Didn't put it on this list though. Maybe the 2 and 2 Geek would be better, but I wouldn't recommend the older ones just because they're outdated and expensive. All right, we're out of the woods. Let's conclude this. So I know I said that all of these devices would be great to get, and they are. You can get any of the devices based on your price range, your budget, who you're giving this gift to, what kind of gamer you are, if you're getting this for yourself. But one that I'd recommend the most is probably the AYN Odin Lite. I know I said positive things about most of these, but I think the Odin Lite is probably the best just overall. It's powerful enough to play a lot of Android games and play a lot of retro systems and more modern systems like the Wii through emulation. It's cheap for portable emulation standards. I mean, the AYN Odin Lite is only $230, so I think it's worth it. If you're looking to get into the portable emulation space or know someone who is interested in Android gaming and or emulation, I would definitely get them this device. It's probably the best bet, unless they don't care about like 3D games. Then you could probably just go with the RG505 or Retroid Pocket 3 Plus. But overall, I'd recommend the AYN Odin Lite. In terms of a more powerful device, I think the most obvious choice is the Steam Deck. It just is the best overall device, and because Valve is able to take a loss, they can price this thing at like $400, which is what they did. And it's great. And I think the biggest advantage is now AYN and Steam are both like shipping these devices. Steam is probably doing it faster, but if you order an Odin Lite, you'll probably get it soon. I'm not sure how soon after the holiday you'll get it or before the holiday. It depends on where you are and how long it takes to ship to you. but they'll ship it. I mean, they will. Both of these devices are great for the money, and I'm sure either of these would be great to get as a gift. But I would definitely recommend the AYN Odin Lite over the Steam Deck, just so long as the person you're getting it for doesn't care about more modern console emulation and PC gaming. If they do, your best bet is the Steam Deck. All day, every day. I hope I was able to be of assistance to you in your holiday shopping and buying someone a retro handheld. Thank you for watching. I will see you whenever my RG505 arrives, and I'll do that unboxing and review. So I will see you then. Thank you for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Did you buy one of these devices already? Are you getting one as a gift? Do you want to get one as a gift? Are you getting one as a gift for someone else? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.